Hey everyone, this is Dean with DCA Crypto. I have some important news for you guys to cover in today's video, so I'd appreciate if you subscribe to my channel, smash that like button, and let's jump into it. Alright, today we're going to be covering some different things that have happened within the last 24 hours in crypto here. Some important news that we want to cover, so let's jump into it. Currently, Bitcoin is, it's still under that 70,000 mark. It's right around, 67, 68,000, kind of it's been going in this range between like 66 and 70,000. We really needed to break above the 72,000 and kind of make this area our support level. We've got a lot of resistance here at this 72,000 level mark, so really need to break through there. So we're looking good. I mean, we're making strong candles on the weekly here. If we go to the weekly chart here, it's looking pretty good as far as that goes. And I don't see anything bad going on here with the charts. So this is a good sign that we're hopefully going to make another leg up soon here. But you guys kind of know that summertime can be, I guess, boring for crypto typically. And there's a reason they say sell in May and go away. Some people are expecting us to get really bullish here in the next 2 weeks. We'll see what happens. But either way, I'm just kind of keeping an eye on the charts and waiting for the market to move here. Right now, there's not a lot of liquidity in the market, so that's why a lot of the crypto projects that were scheduled to launch this month and last month, they've kind of pushed it out until July and August and so on, because they're waiting for more liquidity to get in the market so they have a successful launch, which sucks for the early investors, but it's a good move for the projects to make so they can ensure that they have a more successful launch, hopefully. So if you look at the chart here for the psychology of a market cycle, it kind of looks like we're right in this disbelief phase here, doesn't it? We've come up and we came up, came down, came up, came down, and kind of going sideways here. If you look at Bitcoin's chart, it kind of matches up with that chart here. It looks like we came up, came down, came up a little bit now, came down. Now we're coming up in the next phase here. So if we go to that chart here for the disbelief phase, looks like we may have just come out of that, which is right in here. And that looks like we're starting to come up here into the hope and recovery possible phase. It's also possible that we're already in this hope and recovery phase and we're going to come up into this optimism, belief, and thrill and euphoria and really take off here towards the end of the year. We'll have to see. Time will only tell. We can't know for sure where we're at in the cycle until the cycle's over with, unfortunately. I don't think we're way up in this phase here at all with euphoria and any of that and thrill. We did have some euphoria and thrill, but we really didn't have any crazy blow off tops with any of the coins yet, really. And a lot of the coins haven't even reached their previous all-time highs. Bitcoin is the only one pretty much that has done that for the most part. 99% of the alts have not done that. So I don't think we're at the top of the bull run by any means. I think we're down in this disbelief or hope phase here, possibly in the optimism, but we'll have to see what happens here. So the news I want to cover with you today here is this article at CoinDesk.com. There's several articles out there. I just picked this one because it had kind of a little bit more information about this for you guys. President Biden vetoed the resolution overturning the SEC guidance bill. And as you guys know, I talked about this bill a few weeks ago on my channel. It's the SAB 121 bill. And this is kind of the Securities and Exchange, the SEC Commission bill that they were trying to get, passed through here without Biden vetoing it. But he decided to veto it at the last minute. And we'll read about this a little bit in the article here, and it kind of explains a little bit of what happened here so you can kind of get a picture on this. So it's saying Biden signed a veto of a House joint resolution that would have repealed the SEC Staff Accounting Bulletin 121. And he said this is a controversial piece of SEC accounting guidance that directs financial institutions holding crypto for customers to keep the assets on their own balance sheets. Critics of the guidance say it makes it too difficult for financial institutions to work with crypto companies. But, a lot of people disagree with that. They say, this would be good for crypto and good for the investors because it allows banks to hold crypto on their balance sheets and makes them, be able to do it and inputs measures in place for that to happen. So we'll read what Biden says and why he vetoed this here. So Biden said he would not support any measures that jeopardize the well-being of consumers and investors. By virtue of invoking the Congressional Review Act, this Republican-led resolution would inappropriately constrain the SEC's ability to set forth appropriate guardrails and address future issues. This is what Biden said in his statement. This reversal of the considered judgment of SEC staff in this way risks undercutting the SEC's broader authorities regarding accounting practices. And Biden said, he said appropriate guardrails that protect consumers and investors are necessary. So he's basically trying to say that, this doesn't appropriately protect investors, blah, blah, blah. So here's what it says here. The veto came hours after banking groups, and members of Congress, can't imagine who those might have been, sent a pair of letters to Biden's desk asking him to sign the resolution to overturn SAB 121. So some bankers and Congress members sent a letter to Biden at the last minute to please veto this bill. So I wonder why. They probably have their best interest in mind and not the American consumers. So yes, it is bad news, sort of, that Biden vetoed this bill. It would have been nice if it passed through. It would have allowed banks and kind of forced banks' hands to custody crypto in the banks, so people had a secure place to hold their crypto rather than in self-custody wallet for some people that aren't really responsible with that or don't understand it. Banks would be able to custody that for them. But I haven't read the bill, so I don't know everything that's in it. We really do need a bill that allows banks and kind of forces banks to custody crypto for us under insured measures through the government, just like they have FDIC insured banking accounts up to $250,000. It would be nice if they had something similar for crypto, where they were allowed or able to back crypto and insure it for the same amount as U.S. dollars. So it'd be nice if we get something like that in place. And both, if you think about it, the House and the Senate both passed this bill with considerable measures, almost 2-1. So it was almost a 2/3 vote in favor of this in both of the House and the Senate. So if that's the case, that is a positive sign that our government wants this. And even though Biden vetoed it, hopefully we get a different president in place that, either if it were Trump or if it were Robert Kennedy Jr., either one of those two would probably have not vetoed this bill, hopefully. So even though Biden has vetoed it now, I think it's just a matter of time before this gets passed through our government eventually. So we'll see what happens here over the next year with the election and that. Hopefully something along the lines of this gets passed. So the other article I want to cover here, the Ethereum ETF June launch, legit possibility as BlackRock files an S1 here. So BlackRock updated its Form S1 for its spot Ether ETF, which analysts say is a good sign that the issuers and the SEC are working on the ETF launches here. The United States spot Ether exchange-traded funds have a legit possibility of launching by late June, so about a month from now, according to the analysts, after BlackRock updated a key filing necessary for launch. So hopefully this gets approved here. This is a good sign, and they're saying that this was filed. Typically, it's within less than a month after filing that the ETH spot ETFs would be implemented and be tradable. So hopefully that's the case, because me personally, I am going to be putting some of my retirement account funds into the ETH spot ETF, because I think it's going to do really well. You got to remember that there's a lot of people out there that don't quite understand how market caps work, and they don't understand Bitcoin, they don't understand Ethereum, but Ethereum is also deflationary, so you got to keep that in mind too. I think with a lot of people are going to look at Ethereum and they're going to look at Bitcoin, and they're not going to know the difference, and they're going to just know that they're both cryptos that you can invest in, and they're going to be like, oh, the Bitcoin is so expensive, I better invest in this Ethereum because it's probably going to get to the price of Bitcoin, so I should put my money into Ethereum because it's lower price. And they don't really understand how crypto works and market caps and stuff like that. So it is possible that Ethereum could surpass Bitcoin in the gains out of the ETF. And remember, it just launched. So Bitcoin, after it launched, it jumped up like 50% over the course of 2 months. So, and that had a lot of selling pressure from the Grayscale trust that was selling Bitcoin the whole time. So you got to keep that in mind. Also, Ethereum doesn't have that selling pressure, so it could do even better than what Bitcoin did over the course of a couple months after its ETF approval. So I'm definitely going to be putting some of my retirement into ETH and Bitcoin as well through the ETFs in my 401k, and I have a Roth 401k, so I have it set up where I can actually pick the stocks that I want to trade in and the ETFs. So I'm going to put some of those funds in there, a good chunk of it, in some Ether and some Bitcoin, and see how it does over the course of a long period of time. With these price predictions out there that Fidelity is predicting Bitcoin to get to $1 billion by 2038, I mean, that's absolutely insane. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not saying that at all. But even if it's 1/100th of that estimate, that's still a $10 million Bitcoin by 2038. So kind of keep that in mind. So even if it were 1,000th of that and it only got to $1 million by 2038, to potentially turn, $68,000 into $1 million over the course of the next 14 years, you're not going to really get that anywhere in the stock market currently. So I think this is good, a good thing to do for some people. You don't want to go too crazy with it, but I am going to put a good amount of my 401k in Ether and Bitcoin because I think crypto is the future, and you're going to see a lot more of these ETFs coming out in the future, and these are going to thrive and grow likely now that we're getting some adoption with it. The other thing I want to cover on here is this article on Reddit. This article is actually from Reason.com, but this was posted in Reddit. Argentina teams up with El Salvador to boost crypto adoption. So Argentina authorities are working with El Salvador, and they're pioneering Bitcoin adoption nation. As you guys know, they made it so Bitcoin is legal tender in El Salvador last year, I believe it was. So Argentina is working with them to make Bitcoin adoption heavy in Argentina because they're trying to boost the Argentina economy because they had so much inflation issues recently. And then they had to, they got that new president down on Argentina that kind of cut all the waste out of the government spending. And they're switching everything over to be backed by the US dollar, or I guess it's backed by the US dollar. And when they did that, their currency kind of crashed because it has to reset everything. So now they're trying to build it back up with Bitcoin. So that's a good thing here. So they're saying high-ranking officials from Argentina's CNV, the National Securities Commission, the country's securities regulator, met with El Salvador's National Commission of Digital Assets on May 23rd to discuss the use of crypto, according to an official announcement. The talks focused on El Salvador's experience in adopting Bitcoin and its regulatory framework. They said, El Salvador has emerged as one of the leading countries, not only in the use of Bitcoin, but it also stood out in the world of crypto assets. It has created a specific commission, the National Commission of Digital Assets, or CNAD, and therefore has an experience that is very valuable for the CNV at this time. And they're saying that under their president of El Salvador, he made the history by becoming the first country to adopt Bitcoin's legal tender in September 2021. So I guess it was longer. I guess I was thinking it was last year, but I guess it was 3 years ago, almost 2.5 years ago. Using it alongside the US dollar. At the same time, the country launched the Shiva wallet, a government-backed digital wallet. And I remember this, they gave $30 worth of Bitcoin to citizens who signed up for that wallet at the time. So since then, El Salvador has embarked on several ambitious projects to promote Bitcoin use, including creating a Bitcoin city powered by geothermal energy, issuing Bitcoin bonds, and offering expedited citizenship to Bitcoin investors. So that's pretty cool. To date, they've mined 474 Bitcoin, and they hold 5,756 Bitcoin on their balance sheet, valued at just over 400 million. And it says, according to a website that tracks El Salvador's Bitcoin portfolio, Bukele, I think it's pronounced, I may be pronouncing that wrong, has said that he plans to keep growing El Salvador's holdings by buying 1 Bitcoin every day. So this is another thing that you guys got to remember out there is more and more countries are adopting Bitcoin. It's going to become more and more scarce every day forever. So it's only going to continue to go up in value, very likely. Not guaranteed, of course, but that's the way Bitcoin is headed. It doesn't mean we're not going to have some price fluctuations, but over the course of time, Bitcoin's price is likely going to continue to rise and continue to rise and continue to rise. This is a scarce asset unlike anything else out there, period. There are no other ETFs in the world that have a fixed supply. So keep that in mind. You can create more gold, you can create more oil, you can create more diamonds, you can create, more silver, you can create any of these things, you can print more money, you can create more of pretty much anything out there, but you cannot create more Bitcoin than its fixed supply of 21 million. That cap will be permanent. There will be no more Bitcoin after that cap is reached. And at the point we're getting at now with these halvings, the production of Bitcoin is going to be way less than the purchasing of Bitcoin. So it is going to be the most scarce asset out there. So people have to keep that in mind. There's a lot of people on board that are old investors. They don't understand Bitcoin. They don't understand technology, but it's pretty much here to stay. It sounds like we've got ETFs now, and I don't think there's going to be any turning back from it at this point. So my goal is to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible, because if it eventually, and it's showing like it will be, worth millions of dollars down the road, I want to have a piece of that pie and hopefully accumulate a few Bitcoin or more over the course of the next few years here, so we can hopefully have that in our retirement funds for later on. So that's pretty much what I wanted to cover for this video, guys. There's a lot of different things in this video to think about with the crypto bills that are coming up, the adoption of Bitcoin, the adoption of Ethereum. Crypto adoption is happening here. You even have Michael Saylor, who's turning the tide on. He's not just talking about Bitcoin anymore. He's turned his tune around a little bit and realized that Ethereum got approved now. It's likely that a lot of other cryptos are going to get approved and become spot ETFs in the future, and we're going to have more crypto adoption than just Bitcoin. So turn of events is changing here, and a turn of the tide with crypto. Things are looking positive, so let's keep our heads straight and focused on the future. I appreciate it. Don't forget to join my Telegram. The link for that is in the description below and the pinned comment. You can also join my Discord. That is through Patreon. If you're interested in getting into any of these projects early that haven't launched yet, I can help you get into some of those through the Discord if you're interested in that. So check that out. That'll be in the description below and the pinned comment. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If you're not subscribed, please hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and we'll see you on the next video.
Tell me what you want, what you need. Tell me what you want, what you need. Tell me.